Well, I got some good news and some not so good news. The good news is I finally got the carburetor that I need for that truck. So I gotta go install it. Um, I'm gonna need some help to. It's a cab over, so I'll need help to lift the cab off so that I can work on the carburetor and install this new one. Um, I got it for a lot cheaper than they are brand new. um, because a gentleman who works at the parts store happens to own Fords. He took the carburetor off of his a few years ago, so it was still working. He just put a different one on. So I'm gonna take this thing and put it over on my truck, and hopefully it works. Um, Yesterday I learned how to do eBay. Um, I spent 150 bucks, and it was well worth it. And there's also assistance with troubleshooting in the future if I have that issue, which is a good thing. I spent a lot of money on people who were going to teach me how to do eBay and show me how to do eBay. And when it all came down to it, they didn't teach me nothing. They didn't show me nothing. They just told me what to do and took my money. Telling me what to do doesn't teach me how to do it. If I need to replace the carburetor and you tell me that you'll teach me how to replace the carburetor for 100 bucks and I pay you that 100 bucks and you tell me, all right, well, what you need to do is take off the carburetor. Well, thank you. I already knew that I needed to take off the carburetor. I don't want to fuck it up though. That's why I'm asking for help. That's why I'm willing to pay money for it. I'm paying money out for goods and services that aren't rendered, or so are you. You guys think that the cops are supposed to keep you safe. No, they don't give a shit about you, not unless you're a pretty white girl or you got a lot of money. If you're a homeless person, you're screwed. Y'all don't even know laws there are that make it illegal to be homeless. Each one of those laws fined or jail time. So now you're a criminal because you're fucking homeless. And a lot of people are like, you chose that. You chose that. You chose that. You know, when you got a choice between being homeless and being abused, how much of a choice is it? For some of y'all, you say it's a no brainer, but it's really not. Now, there's a pretty high statistic for the number of men who ended up homeless because they were domestically abused. We don't want to hear those numbers. We only want to hear the numbers for women. And most women who end up homeless over domestic abuse. So what are we doing about it? She did the right thing, right? Turned in her predator or turned in her child's predator. Now she can't pay the bills and ends up homeless. Police want to fucking treat her like she's a goddamn animal. And they laugh at her about it. When she says, I'm going to turn you in, they don't care. They know she doesn't have the money for a fucking real lawyer. A lot of you rich assholes in nice houses. Yeah, police, when they show up to your door, they're a lot fucking nicer to you than they are to people like me. When I say people like me, you're thinking, oh, criminals. No, you're more of a criminal than I am. When somebody has to defend their lives, it don't matter what fucking excuse you make for it, that person is protecting their life. Plain and simple. It is not wrong to defend yourself. If someone is trying to kill you, then yes, defend yourself. There's all these things they teach us as kids. If you have a problem with a bully, you need to take it to an adult or an authority figure like a police officer or a teacher or your parent. And they tell you before you do that, you're supposed to talk to your bully and tell him how it made you feel. How does it make you feel to be assaulted for things you didn't do? How does that feel? I know how it feels. But when you try to go to that person who is the source of the rumors you're being bullied over, and they treat you like you're a fucking monster for asking them to put a stop to it. Meanwhile, I have evidence that in every single one of my court dates, I was lied to, lied about, and slandered. I did not have an actual lawyer to defend me. And those of you who have never had to deal with a public pretender wanting to tell me, oh, Sean, you're entitled to a lawyer and they can do the same things as other lawyers. No, they can't. Or they don't want to enough to lie about the fact that they can't. So then there's a situation where this morning I wake up and I look at my phone and I got a message. It's not a real nice message and I don't know what it's about, but I don't want to fucking deal with it. Problem is that the guy who sent me the message, I got $5,000 in a bag at his house. That $5,000 is supposed to be try to get me a place of my own, try to get me a start. And I found some property in Colorado. It's $2,900. And then with all of the fees and everything that they want extra, it's almost $3,400. And then I don't know what the government's going to want for it, and then I'll have to, before I can build anything there, I have to, well, I can build a fence up to 6 feet high. But before I can build a house there, I got to get septic there because they don't have a sewer out there. And then I also got to either get a cistern for water or I have to drill a well. And drilling a well is pretty expensive, so I'll have to just do the cistern method. I don't know how many gallons they're going to require. I don't know what kind of permits it's going to take or how expensive that's going to be. But that's part of the problem with getting basically a 5-acre ranch. No, they're not dropping nukes on us. Sometimes this thing picks up the lunch bell, sometimes it doesn't. It's a tornado alarm. Every day at noon it goes off. So this place is like 6.5 hours away. It's in Colorado, and obviously Colorado is not a safe place for me to go, but it's a place where it's cheap enough that I can move there. And it's close enough that I might be able to drive there in my big ass fucking pickup. Well, it's not a pickup, it's a 1964 Ford C600 cab over. Any of y'all who know what that is, it's big. But it can haul my stuff. It's a big grain truck. It's also got a PTO shaft so I can attach stuff to the back of it. Run farm implements, or heck, you could even run an electric generator with it. Pretty cool, right? But I don't know what this guy's mad about this morning. I don't know. A lot of people, they spend a lot of time talking to me and talking about everybody else. I'm thinking to myself, if they're that unpleasant, then why do you still keep letting them come over? If they're that unpleasant, you're gonna come down on me every time some wingnut wants to throw a fucking tantrum because she didn't get her way, that's not my fault. The other thing is, I'm not running around town saying, you said this about this person, or you said that about that person. Now, if there are lives at stake, then yes, I would definitely do that. But there are no lives at stake here. Well, there actually are. But not one that matters. My life doesn't matter to y'all. I know a lot of people watch my videos just so they can tattle on me. I'm actually fine with that. See, if I was trying to keep it a secret, I wouldn't post it on YouTube, would I? Now, I try to tell just the situations, and I try to keep people's names safe. But if people that I love are gonna run the risk of ending up dead just because I kept your name safe, then no, your name is not gonna be kept safe. It's not. I'm not gonna lose friends just because you're a fucking cunt. And I don't mean lose them as in they don't want to be my friend no more. There are certain rumors that if you go spreading them rumors, yeah, I'm gonna blast it nationally. Internationally, I don't fucking care. If you start spreading the kind of rumors that get people killed, I'm going to start saying something before somebody ends up dead, not after. Problem is, when they call you mentally ill, nobody's going to listen to you. See, I had plenty of evidence that I could have gone and shown Natalie, hey, Natalie, this is what people are doing to me. But I had to show it in person because I didn't know none of the stuff that I'm doing on the computer now did I know how to do back then. I didn't know how to take screenshots. It would have been nice to just take screenshots of the shit from, well, multiple people that were being fucking douchebags and say, hey, see, Natalie, people are threatening to fucking kill me over your bullshit. People aren't just calling me a fucking stalker. All right, people are actually assaulting me because you fucking lied to them, Natalie. Take a look. Before Natalie died, I had to fight hard to get a fucking court date. I did what it is that I was instructed to do. But then again, when I do what it is that people ask me to do, and then they start treating me like shit because it doesn't turn out the way that they wanted it, should I have to apologize for that? I told you how it would go if I had to go in by myself. I told you how I would be treated if I had to go in by myself. I told you that my guilt would just be assumed and that I would not be allowed to speak. And y'all treated me like I was just fucking kidding. And with the Natalie situation, yeah, I was able to prove that, yes, I was the good guy in that situation, and I was the victim in that situation. The same thing with the situation with Jamie and James up there in South Dakota. I was the good guy. Well, you guys want to pretend that I am some sort of terrible animal who's out there stalking women. I've rescued women most of my life, and children most of my life, and grown-ass adults that are also male most of my life. You go looking through my Facebook, you don't see 10,000 fucking posts about how I need to get laid. You won't find any posts about how I need to get laid. I might be the only person I know who doesn't have that on their Facebook, or at least as far as adults go. So, although I was going to go help that gentleman today, I got those messages this morning and I went, I just don't really want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to do anything. A lot of people say remove yourself from the situation. I do. I remove myself from the situation a lot. When there is somebody that I am not comfortable with because they threaten to kill me and you tell me just to ignore them, yeah, I'm trying to ignore them. I'm trying to avoid all that fucking wingnut bullshit. But at the same time, when that person is following me to the places that I go, the only places that I have peace and quiet from this bullshit, then I no longer have peace and quiet from this bullshit. I no longer have a safe place to go. My predators have access to me whenever they want, basically. And then when there's a situation between you and somebody else, and you've been venting at me, the person you're venting about isn't seeing it as venting. They're seeing it as talking shit. So having two grown men who are having a little tiff, you know, their issue is between them. It's not my issue. And I did listen to both sides, and I didn't want to. But I did listen to both sides. They both had stuff to get off their chest. Well, I'm currently busy. I got a lot worse problems than your arguments or your disagreements. I don't go running to the one guy and saying what the other guy said, or the other way around. I tried to remain hospitable and decent and friendly. But at the point where there is an actual safety risk, yeah, I do have to say something. What, it wouldn't grate on your conscience if innocent people were dead because you were too much of a coward to speak? I don't get that. Freedom isn't free, and it doesn't come from soldiers. It comes from you taking an active involvement and an active role. While these people who are fucking nuttier than squirrel turds and drunk off their ass are very liberal about their harassment and threats and stalking of me and show absolutely no remorse for it. And, well, I'm supposed to just take it. I'm just supposed to keep my mouth shut. I tried to talk to these people like adults. That's how it should be. And both of them very much have at least tried to keep it more civil than most. And they have tried to be adults about it. And when you're an adult, you still have emotions. You know, when you're frustrated because a business deal went south and it's with a friend, well, sometimes you got to suck it up and say, hey, you know, we're friends. We've been friends for a long time, and there's no reason not to be friends over something as trivial as this. But then money is a major stressor. It is. Money is, or financial situations, are the number one reason for people committing suicide. You're more likely to kill yourself over money than anything else. Your marriage is more likely to fall apart due to money and stresses of financial situations than anything else. Things get frustrating, things get tough. Bills are hard to pay. You're nagging at him. He's nagging at you. Neither one of you are fucking happy. Each one of you blaming the other one. And then that's where the cheating comes in. I'm not happy. I don't want to be here. My wife is driving me nuts. I'm sorry I'm not earning enough. I'm sorry the economy is having fucking issues. And a lot of you guys, you don't even see it. You're like, man, we're doing so good. Look at what the NASDAQ is doing. Look how the Dow Jones is doing. Look at this and look at that. You know what? Most of us are fucking burger flippers. We're never going to have the money to invest in the Dow Jones. You're going to decide how well the nation is doing based on how well rich people are doing. That's what the stock market is. That's rich people. That's not you. That's not me. That's rich people. It's getting worse for those at the bottom. The cost of everything is going up rampant. It's insane. Cost of a candy bar is almost quadrupled since I was in high school. You go, oh, well, it's a candy bar. It's a sugar product. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because we're not making 4 times what we made when I was in high school. Minimum wage in high school was, I believe, $7.25. What's minimum wage now? Is it $29 an hour? $29 an hour. Now, this guy, he hasn't done me any wrong. Not intentionally. You know, sometimes you make decisions and they are wrong. You do make mistakes. Some people admit it, some people don't. Him, he does make mistakes, but he also admits it. His friend that he's having a problem with, I mean, it's pretty well over with. While I was over there yesterday, I was busy trying to basically get down to business, learn the things that we both need to know. He needs to learn about eBay too. So do I. So I go there to learn it. I paid $150 to learn it. Even bought myself a camera. That way I can try to make some sort of income. And also help a friend out, you know. I don't think that should be an issue. Especially if I'm learning something that's going to help me. See, a lot of people tell me, Sean, you need to do eBay. You need to do eBay. Yeah, are you going to teach me how? I've been fumbling through this shit for 4 years. It's cost me a lot of money. I'm trying. So right now, I don't really feel comfortable going and talking to anybody. I'm pretty hungry. And a lot of y'all are like, what the fuck? You know, you're talking to us. You're talking to YouTube. Yeah, it's not the same. It's really not. There's a lot of people here who they're not bad to me, but we don't have anything in common. We don't have any interests together. I mean, what are we going to talk about? Meanwhile, there's a lady here in town that I've known for a lot of years, and she's currently homeless, and she's stuck in somebody else's house that she doesn't feel comfortable there. And I can't just turn it off and be stone cold hearted like so many people. A lot of people, when I didn't do what they wanted, doesn't matter that I tried and it just didn't work. A lot of people, when their expectations were not fulfilled were fucking outright evil to me. People did a lot of fucked up shit. I need you to speak up. That means I need you to speak up. Now, it got to the point where the violence was so rampant that I actually went and got an 88-cent fucking water pistol at Walmart, and I filled it with jalapeno juice. That way, if I'm attacked, at least I got some pepper spray. At that time, I was pretty well flat broke all the fucking time. I couldn't have bought anything more than that. The only reason that I was able to come up with the jalapeno juice is because I was getting food stamps at the time. My food stamps been cut down to basically nothing, which so goes it. A lot of people are like, you can get a job, you can get a job. No, I can't. What you guys aren't understanding is all of the roadblocks that have been put in my way, and those aren't easily overcome. Those roadblocks don't magically disappear just because you tell me that I should do something. The roadblock of how somebody is treated who is a male, especially if they're homeless, when they try to talk to the police. I told y'all the remedy for that from day one. Go in with me and actually speak up. Write it down. A lot of people that I'm pissed off at them for a reason. They didn't come forward. It doesn't matter what efforts they make or what efforts I make. If nobody says a goddamn thing about it, nobody writes it down, and nobody makes any goddamn effort. And then a lot of these people want to tell me, Sean, you should have tried harder. Motherfucker, how do you try harder than I've been trying? I have proven to you over and over and over again that no matter what, I am not allowed to do the things that you're telling me to do. They use the term mentally ill and cut me off and force drugs into me. My guilt is assumed no matter what. When I say I need help, people are like, "Oh, well, we'll get you some drugs. We'll get you some drugs." I don't need fucking drugs. I don't need Risperidol. I've already had boobs in my lifetime. I don't need Haldol. I sure as hell don't need ketamine. I needed help. I needed help to stop the violence and the harassment and the actual stalking that I had to endure. I was never once allowed to defend myself against that slander, and not one person helped me to get my voice out there. Not one person involved in this actually wrote down a fucking report and went in with me to make sure it was listened to. I told you that if you don't go in with me to talk to these police, they're going to do everything in their power to play on the mentally ill thing, because these are the same exact police officers who refused to do their job when an at-risk adult was being abused for a whole year before Natalie was killed. Now, Sheriff Scott DeCosta, was he involved at all before Natalie was killed? No, he wasn't. But after Natalie was killed, he was heavily involved in covering up for the officers who were. Now, you can see the difference between when I talk to the officers when somebody is present and when I talk to the officers alone. Their demeanor is not the same. The words that come out of their mouth are not the same. When you're trying to turn in bad officers because there is a safety issue and their coworkers are saying, well, I'm not the one who did that. It doesn't matter if you are the officer who did it or not. I'm not accusing you of being Deputy Hahn. But now I am accusing you of going out of your way to obstruct justice and waste taxpayer dollars. How many dollars were wasted Because these officers, rather than do their job or admit that they fucked up, were able to abuse their power to have me repeatedly shipped out of jurisdiction so I couldn't turn them in. And then I was repeatedly injected with drugs. And then I'm told I have to be in this jurisdiction to turn these motherfuckers in. So I'm here, but nobody's doing anything. I have to go to the officers that I'm trying to turn in order to turn them in. How fucking insane is that? People say, Sean, you just need to let it go. I can't just let it go. I cannot take care of myself because of these things. I can prove that I'm telling the truth. Help me to fucking show it. Instead, somehow magically, people make all of these promises about how they're gonna, and then when it's time to keep their word, somehow magically they can't be reached, they can't be gotten a hold of, or somebody is fucking sick. You shouldn't have been fucking making excuses that whole time. If people are magically only sick when it's time for you to keep your word, you should stop giving your word. You should tell me, all right, Sean, I can't keep my word. Instead of leading me on for months at a time while people are actually abusing me physically and financially and emotionally. And then you pretend that I deserved it over slander that I have never been allowed to defend myself against. All of these people who spread this slander and went out of their way to ignore the crimes against me were committing crimes because they were creating a zone around me where I was unsafe. Because their slander made me a target, because it was good entertainment for ratings. And you get to see how these people, it doesn't matter about honor. It doesn't matter about the right thing to do. So I got to try to get that property, and I need to do it before I've spent all of my money. In order to get help, people are fucking pushing me to buy this and buy that and buy this and buy that. And I can't say no to them because I need their fucking help. I have to buy whatever these people want me to buy because I can't get the police to do their fucking jobs unless someone goes in with me. And none of these people are going to go in with me. A lot of them, they were real nice to me when I was broke. Like completely flat broke. But they're not understanding right now. I need to be able to use every penny that I got to make myself a fucking future where I can protect myself, where I am allowed to protect myself from predators. Whereas, as it stands now, anyone can harm me. Anyone who wants to harm me can do so and say he's mentally ill. No matter how much evidence that I have to the contrary, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. And because of the term mentally ill, they're not going to listen to what I have to say. Chris Kurth and his buddies wanted to be fucking cunt rags. I didn't do anything to them fucking cunt rags. There was no reason for them to fucking threaten my life. There was no reason for them to fucking gang up on me. And there is no reason that I should just have to fucking take it. Same thing with Sandy Fromm. I don't care who Tim is. Tim is the guy that she was trying to get to kill me. And in my recordings, it's somewhere in it, it's got his last name too. Out of her mouth, of course, because I was recording her at the time. I drove her to her house because she was drunk as a fucking skunk. Didn't care. Didn't care who was on the road. She is drunk almost every time she gets in that fucking vehicle. She's not even allowed to fucking drive because of DUIs, and she still has DUIs pending. So even though she threatened to kill me, For my birthday, I ran around driving her everywhere that she wanted to fucking go so she wouldn't get drunk and fucking kill somebody. You have no idea how many people this woman has threatened to kill. Meanwhile, you don't take it serious when somebody threatens to kill me, do you? You don't give a fuck. Every one of these cops has made every excuse they can not to do their jobs, which is why I have to break the law to try to force someone to take a look. I have to take this abuse for the rest of my life. I understand everybody's having fucking tight financial problems. And I understand that I got fucking thousands of dollars. It's not enough to get anything with. Especially when now you want me to buy this and 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 this. And I got 20 other people wanting me to buy this and this and this and this and this. If I buy those things, are you gonna fucking help me? That land that I'm trying to get, it's gonna be about $3,400. And it's going to end up being more expensive than that. I still will end up having to pay the government a bunch of stuff. Plus, I can't stay out there. It's not like having my own place where it's my rules. No, they have rules and stipulations that basically you got to spend thousands of dollars before you can stay there. Tens of thousands of dollars. Like shit, man, it ain't difficult for me to fill up my containers with water and have enough water to live on. If I got to go 30 miles to get water, fuck it, I'll drive 30 miles to get water. After I get this carburetor put on and it works, I got to get insurance on the vehicle. I got to get plates on the vehicle. I got about $5,000 to work with. It's going to cost me probably close to $1,000 for 6 months of insurance because my insurance is fucking shit. Trying to get a bank account so that I can buy that property. Fuck, I'm having problems doing that. Now, all of these issues are from things that I had to believe people were going to help me with. And when they didn't, it ended up fucking me. Like up there in Washington State, my dad helped me open up that account. And then he outright lied to me about it on multiple occasions and about my insurance. And as a result, I was driving around with no insurance at any point in time myself. And all of that evidence that I am still trying to show would have been gone. My dad doesn't give a shit, though. All he cares about is embarrassment, just like Natalie, just like Alicia, just like Danica and Rochelle. Embarrassment. And then there's also the fact that they did wrong things. And the wrong things that they did affected me greatly. The head games that the Bollinger family was playing, the fucking cops should have put a stop to that well before I left fucking Virginia. When I drove out of Virginia in October of 2016, it should have been done and fucking over with. I shouldn't have had to deal with any more bullshit over those two heroin whores. Why'd she go back to Tim? Because he was feeding her heroin and he had her dog. Why'd she go date Joey Moreno? Because he had fucking heroin. And why is Alicia going on high-speed chases with 18 grams of methamphetamines across multiple states with her father who raped her and her sister? Because he's got the fucking drugs, dumbass. Now, y'all got all these ideas. Sean, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. And you're telling me things that people who are called mentally ill aren't allowed to fucking do. So get those ideas out of your fucking head. Telling me 30,000 more times to call these places and go in by myself. If it hasn't worked the literal over 100 times that I've tried already, It's not going to work now. I've proven that people didn't want to be targeted. I've proven that what the police had to say was a fucking lie outright. I proved what the Bollingers were saying were lies outright. I proved that every step of the way I was trying to get help stopping the abuse. And I proved that every step of the way the people that you keep telling me to go to ignored the abuse. They made every fucking excuse. And if making excuses wasn't good enough, then they would abuse their power to justify the wrong things they did. Cody Selhorst and Jared Hahn are not the officers that I should have had to speak to after their conduct. But guess what? They lied outright, and Jen Beebe is a fucking idiot. So then I end up in Scotts Bluff, having them wanting to force feed drugs into me so that Scott DaCosta can get what he wants in order to justify the crimes that he is covering up for his fellow officers at that point. Hahn and Selhorst never should have been allowed to come near me after that. The only reason that I went and spoke to Officer Hahn about the situation that Cody Selhorst had fucking ignored, the reason that Cody Selhorst fucking ignored it is because Jordan Anderson had fucking ignored it when it fucking happened. That was Alicia Bollinger and her dad playing head games with me when I was in Chapel, Nebraska for my grandmother's goddamn funeral. So after Cody Selhorst tried to scare me into leaving town, and Jared Hahn, I had to chase him fucking down to try to get him to take my report. Like, holy hell. That is some bass-ackwards goddamn law enforcement, ain't it? But it's all right. They call me mentally ill, and it magically justifies it. The term mentally ill makes you guilty automatically 100% of the time. The only thing that you have that will protect you if you are called mentally ill is someone who gives a shit. If they're going to tell you what to do as if you have the same rights that they do, despite the fact that you have explained to them hundreds of times that's not the way it is when you're called mentally ill. Seriously, you want to call that help? Telling me to do things that I'm not allowed to do? You're allowed to do them. And yeah, sure, according to the law, it's illegal for these officers to do these things. It's illegal. It is. It is illegal for Officer Waylon Lolatai to assault me. It is illegal for Clearview to do the things that they did to me when I tried to turn in Officer Lolatai. Those things are illegal. But they get away with it when it's just you. And that's what I've been trying to tell you. People are very liberal about dispensing their bias and their justice when it is just you. When you're a homeless person and that girl who keeps getting raped by her dad is pissed off and she can't take it out on her dad because she wants to worry about her sister and her mom who are living in the same house, and she's cutting on herself because mom won't do anything, but she wants to be pissed off. She wants to hate a man, and she's going to hate a man that she knows she can get away with hating, a homeless man. Because if she goes into a home or into a store where somebody has some money to own that business and own that property, if she goes in and takes it out on the store owner, she's going to get arrested. If she takes it out on a homeless person If the cops get involved, they're going to arrest the homeless person. That is how it is. Now, who's been messaging me? Meanwhile, none of these are bad people, with the exception of Ted Bollinger. All of these people do bad things. Turning a blind eye and saying there's nothing I can do. There is something you can do. Some of you have been in similar situations, not as bad, but similar. And what were you able to do in that situation? You had options that I don't. You didn't have your housing takeaway in that situation. You weren't so fucked up physically that you couldn't walk. And I literally had to. I had to damage my body further in the hopes of putting a fucking end to this bullshit. I have to go to officers that I have tried to turn in repeatedly. And all of this because I am not good with computers and don't have help with it. Because all of the resources that I needed to be able to defend myself when it was going to make a fucking difference were all taken away from me. All of the predators who I was trying to turn in before Natalie died got to use Natalie's death to justify the terrible, horrible, evil, rotten things that they did. Everything in my life was robbed from me over lies. While she was pretending that I would hurt her, people were actually physically hurting me. Well, I let her have the entire state of Virginia all to herself. She had to come stalk me to Colorado and pretend like I was stalking her in Colorado. I didn't even know she was in Colorado. But I'm not allowed to say any of this in court. I'm not allowed to show any evidence in this in court because you call me mentally ill. If I'm not mentally ill, then fucking help me. Help me with all of these things that you are preventing me from doing by calling me intelligent. Which is it? Am I intelligent or am I mentally ill? Because you deny me the rights of both.